In the ancient land of Israel, amidst the hills and valleys, a battle loomed that would define the destiny of an entire nation. This was no ordinary battle. It was not simply about soldiers fighting for land or power. It was about faith, courage, and the very power of God. It was a fight between an Israelite boy and a giant, a fight that would reveal the heart of a true hero. The Philistines, fierce and unyielding, stood on one side of the valley. On the other side, the Israelites gathered in fear. And there, at the front of the Philistine army, stood their champion, Goliath, a man like no other, towering at over 9 feet tall. His armor was heavy, his spear strong, and his presence alone was enough to make even the bravest soldier cower in fear. For 40 days, Goliath challenged the Israelites, shouting insults and calling them to send out a warrior to fight him. But no one dared. The mighty warrior stood alone, taunting and mocking. The Israelite soldiers, once strong and courageous, were now paralyzed by fear. And then there was David, just a young shepherd sent by his father to deliver food to his brothers. But David wasn't like the others. He wasn't there to cower or hide. When he heard Goliath's taunts, his heart stirred. How could someone defy the armies of the living God? This was no ordinary battle. This was a battle for faith. David was ready to take a stand. David's words stirred the camp, for while others saw a giant, David saw an opportunity for God's power to be revealed. His faith in God was unwavering. It wasn't arrogance. David had a history of trusting God to protect him from wild beasts when he tended his sheep. And now he was ready to trust him in the face of the greatest enemy he had ever encountered. David confidently to King Saul, "I will go and fight this Philistine. I have faced lions and bears while tending my father's sheep, and God delivered me from them. This Philistine will be no different." At first, King Saul doubted David. How could a mere boy defeat the great Goliath? But David's faith in God was undeniable. Saul, seeing the courage and determination in David's eyes, reluctantly agreed to let him face the giant. David rejected the armor offered to him by King Saul. It was too heavy, too unfamiliar. He didn't need it. He chose instead to take his sling and 5 smooth stones from the stream. This was the weapon God had equipped him with, and it was enough. David, with nothing but his sling and stones, walked toward the battlefield. The Philistine army looked on in disbelief, while the Israelites watched in fear and doubt. Goliath himself laughed at the sight of the boy approaching, scornfully mocking him. Goliath, shouting to David, "Am I a dog that you come to me with sticks? Come here, and I'll give your flesh to the birds of the air and the beasts of the field." Goliath, shouting to David, "Am I a dog that you come to me with sticks? Come here, and I'll give your flesh to the birds of the air and the beasts of the field." You come against me with sword and spear, but I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty, the God of the armies of Israel, whom you have defied. This day the Lord will deliver you into my hands, and all the earth will know that there is a God in Israel. David's faith was not just in his abilities or in the stones he carried. His faith was in God. He knew that the battle was not his to fight alone. The Lord was his strength, and with God on his side, there was no giant too great to defeat. With a single stone, David hurled his sling toward the giant. It flew through the air with a divine force, striking Goliath squarely in the forehead. And just as David had proclaimed, Goliath fell to the ground with a thunderous crash. The battle was won, not by the sword or the spear, but by faith. The giant that had once terrorized an entire army was now lying defeated at the feet of a young shepherd. And the Israelite army, once filled with fear, was now emboldened. They rushed forward, chasing the retreating Philistine army. David's victory wasn't just about defeating a giant. It was about showing the world that with God all things are possible. No matter how insurmountable the challenge, God is greater. David's trust in God transformed him from a shepherd boy into a hero. And from that moment on, he would never be the same. David's victory teaches us that faith in God is stronger than fear. It shows us that God equips us for the challenges ahead, even when we feel ill-equipped. Just as David faced his giant, we too can face our own giants, whether they are fears, doubts, or challenges in life, with the confidence that God will deliver us. Thank you for watching. If you've been inspired by the story of David and Goliath, please like, share, and subscribe. And remember, no giant is too big for our God. Comment below. What giants are you facing in your life? And how can you trust God to help you overcome them? Subscribe for more.